Now, Formula One is still reeling from the departure of Christian Horner from Red Bull. For more on this story, we're joined by Sky Sports' Ted Kravitz. Ted, thank you for joining us. A day on, what more do we know about that sacking?
Well, we know that Christian is still actually employed by Red Bull. He's just been moved off operational duties. So this was part of the address that he gave, to quite an emotional address, actually, to his factory, the group of about 800 people at the Milton Keynes factory. And he said, look, it's been the privilege of my life to be here, to build up the team with you, to watch us win many, many world championships. You know, 8 drivers world championships, 6 constructors world championships, and got quite emotional at the end. But he said, I've been moved off operational duties, still employed by the team, but I think that's probably, at a guess, just a precursor to an arrangement that will see him conclude his employment with Red Bull.
We believe, don't we, that Max Verstappen has been at the Red Bull factory today. How do you think he might have taken the news?
Yeah, we understand that Max's private jet flew into an airport near to Milton Keynes, and he might have been there anyway just for sort of simulated duties before. We've got a couple of weeks break until the Belgian Grand Prix, so he has to be there, but he'll be there just to reassure his engineers and to show his face to the staff that he's still committed, at least for the short term. We don't know what his long-term plans are, but in this period of turmoil for the team in terms of their leadership, he's there to show that he's ready to work with the new boss, Lauren McKees.
And how do you feel Horner going from that role might affect whether or not he stays?
It's very difficult because Max Verstappen was asked just a couple of weeks ago, you know, are you definitely going to be at Red Bull Racing going into the future? He said, look, my focus at the moment is just to sort out the car, then we'll decide. I think it makes it more likely that Max will stay, just on the face of the comments from Max's father, Jos Verstappen. And Max has been very keen not to actually say anything against what his father had said. So he's tacitly backed up what his dad, Jos, is saying, of course, a former Formula One driver himself. So I think it makes it more likely that Max will feel comfortable that issues have been addressed and that there's some clear leadership direction from now on.
And if Verstappen stays, could that be good news for George Russell and the situation at Mercedes we keep hearing about?
Yes, I think it has to be good news for George Russell. It eliminates one of the possible suitors for his seat, but I think George will be asking questions of his own as to why Mercedes were actually courting Verstappen in the first place. Russell's been very successful at Mercedes. He's won many races there. He bested Lewis Hamilton in 2 of the 3 seasons that he was actually against the 7-time world champion at the team. So he'll be thinking, what more do I have to do? But this will certainly give George a little more room for confidence about his future with Mercedes.
You mentioned at the top how successful Horner had been, and perhaps this was just a prelude to what happens next in his exit from Red Bull. Where do you think he might end up?
The $1 million question, although knowing Christian Horner is what he was paid by Red Bull, the $12 million question.
Isn't that a nice question to have to pose?
It is. He has to figure out. We believe he's going to take a bit of time to assess the situations. That's largely because some of the teams he could go to might not be in a position to decide yet. Ferrari, their boss, Frederick Vasseur, his contract expires at the end of 2025, so they might take a bit of time to consider their position. And then you've got Alpine, the works Renault team, but run under their sporty car brand name. The problem with Alpine is that there isn't a head of Renault at the moment because Luca De Meo has actually gone and moved jobs. So they've just got Flavio Briatore, who's at the team as an executive advisor. It's actually JD Senar, who's the head of Renault Group, or the head of the Renault Group. He would have to make that decision. And at that higher level within the Renault Group, that's going to take a bit of time. So Horner's options at the moment are a little bit on ice, but that might suit him, just have a bit of time just to reflect on what's happened in the last tumultuous 18 months.
Yeah, it's never dull, is it? Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us, Ted.